Let's get a little more practice graphing using our graphing calculator. So we want to graph f of x equals x squared minus 3. Now remember, f of x means the same thing as y. So this is the same thing as y equals x squared minus 3. So we're going to turn on our calculator and go to the y equals. You can clear out what you had before by just hitting the clear button. And we're going to put in x squared minus 3. So the x button is this one right under mode that has an x, a t, what's called a theta, and an n. We hit the x squared button for the squared. And then we want to make sure we use the subtraction key, not the negative key, to put the minus 3 in. Okay. Now we can go to our table. Remember, second table. And we can make a table with x and y values. So let's go up a little bit and get some positive and some negative ones. So let's do this. Let's do negative 3, 6, negative 1, negative 2, 0, negative 3, 1, negative 2, and 3, 6. So there was nothing super special about these numbers I chose. Like there's no real reason why I skipped 2 other than we don't want to be plotting a million points. But I'm just trying to get some negative ones and some positive ones. So here we're going to go to negative 3 and up to 6 and plot that. Then we're going to do negative 1, negative 2, plot that one. 0, negative 3, 1, negative 2, and 3, 6. And this is called a quadratic function where the x is squared, and it creates what we call a parabola. And we'll learn a lot more about parabolas as the course goes on. Oops, it should be nice and smooth. But we're getting a graph that looks like this. And if we hit the graph key, we see that's very similar, or it looks the same as our graph. Okay, let's try one more. So we're going to graph the square root of x plus 2. And so notice this one's called g of x. That doesn't mean anything different. That's still going to be y. And to put in the square root, see we have a square root key above our x squared in yellow. So we're going to hit second and the x squared button, which brings up a square root. And then in the parentheses, we're going to put our expression x plus 2. And then we'll close those parentheses. Okay, and let's go to our table. And we'll notice anything less than negative 2 is giving us an error. And we'll talk more about that later. But that means we're not going to be able to graph anything less than negative 2. So let's pick a couple of points bigger than negative 2. So, well, let's just help ourselves remember that. So negative 3 was an error. We'll actually call that undefined. It means we won't have anything on the graph. But at negative 2, we can put in 0. At negative 1, we can graph 1. And let's see if we can find a few more whole number values. So at 2, we have 2. And at 7, we have 3. Okay, we don't have to fill up the whole table. So negative 2, 0. Negative 1, 1. We're just plotting these points and then we'll draw the graph through them. We can see it's kind of making a curve. Okay, we'll actually get a graph that goes like this. And if we hit the graph key, we can see the graph on the calculator as well.